Hi, Growth Mindset Gang. I am so super duper excited to share with you today's episode. I am sitting with Miss Dina Berrin, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of things, intuition versus anxiety, really embodying like our finding clarity within ourselves, connecting with ourselves, and then just trying to figure out how am I supposed to navigate a very loud world and really reconnect with ourselves. And I mean, Dina and I, we were talking for almost like 15 minutes before we chatted. I was like, should we just start recording? When we were just going on both of our tangents, and it's so much fun. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, Dina. And so, do you want to introduce yourself to the Growth Mindset Gang?
Sure. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Allie. It's great to be here. And so, my name is Dina Berrin. I am an author. I'm a certified life coach. I am a facilitator. I am a tarot reader. I also read numerology, astrology, charms, and palms. And I am overall just an intuitive person. And so I work with people one-on-one. I do readings for groups. I do events here in New York City and the surrounding areas where I live. And I also do I'm doing a summer solstice party. I do corporate events. I've been doing speaking. So I have my hand in a lot of pies, and I just like to work with women. I'm interested in reconnecting them to their truth, just to who they truly are.
Mhm.
And anywhere that puts me in that arena is where I want to be.
I love that. And I think that's so such an important conversation to have because I feel like especially with women, we grow up very much looking externally. So external validation, how can we be of service of other people? How could we, if we want to make a decision, we have to ask like 20 other people. And there's like pros and cons of each. Because yes, of course you want to be accepted, loved, seen, and heard externally, but it's also like if that's only one half, you're missing a very crucial other half of a huge relationship that you must develop is with yourself. And so I think what starts to happen is in our 20s and 30s, I think we just start to figure it out from different life experiences. Is like, yes, looking externally is a part of life, but we have to remember to look internally as well and really cultivate the relationship we have with ourselves
Oh.
in order to navigate this crazy thing that we call life. And so you were speaking and sharing that you got into so many different things. And so I wanted you to have space here to share your story of how did you get into all those different things that you've mentioned?
Well, my story is an interesting one, and I will try to condense it for for the purposes of being here. But my story started early. So
Mhm.
to be honest, my grandmother, my mom's mom, was a very intuitive and wise woman.
Mhm.
She was very into astrology, and she would sometimes talk to me about people like they were their astrological sign.
Mhm.
Like for example, we were just talking before the show,
Right.
and you were saying how, and like she might say like, "Oh, look at that Cancer." So
Mhm.
attached to the outcome and
Mhm.
really just so emotional about everything. Or, look at that Capricorn trying to outwork everybody, kind of thing. So she would talk about people as if they were their sign. So when I was younger, I mean, literally like 7 or 8 years old, it was like I would walk around with like a little metaphorical uh, clipboard and like take notes, being like, okay, this means that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And growing up, I know it's hard to believe, but I was a little bit shy.
No.
And
Same.
and
It's
I
so funny
wasn't
that this is what we're doing now.
but I wasn't always like in the center of things. And I wasn't always the first one picked for teams.
Mhm.
I wasn't in the mix always. And what happened is when you are kind of on the sidelines, you get the opportunity to watch people.
Yes. Mhm.
So what I did a lot when I was maybe like in middle school was I did a lot of observing of people, and I would notice people like how they would act in a group as opposed to how they would act one on one, and what they would tell one person, and then I would see them tell something different to somebody else, and I'm like, this is an interesting situation. So I
Mhm.
started observing people. And it was interesting. So then, I went to high school, I went to college. I came back to New York City after college, and I have a degree in exercise physiology, and I was working at a hotel gym. And
Mhm.
hotels, as we know, are open 24/7, and their gym was open 24/7. And
Mhm.
I think that if they had their way with me, that I would have worked
Oh,
24/7.
definitely. Yeah.
And I just felt as though the only reason why people left work at a decent hour was because they had a class. And I thought to myself, gosh, if I don't get a class, I'm going to die here.
Trapped.
So I'm trapped here. So what I did is one night leaving work, I saw a flyer advertising an intro to tarot class. And I
Okay.
thought to myself, there's my class. So I started taking tarot classes, and that was kind of like my entrance into the world of divination.
Mhm.
I love the tarot. It's still one of my big loves of my life.
Mhm.
And what happens, the tarot cards have numbers in them, which was my introduction to numerology. The
Mhm.
tarot cards have astrological associations, which was my reintroduction to astrology after my grandmother began that with me. And
Mhm.
then there were symbols in the cards, which led to my charms. And then I would speak at conferences, and I sat next to a gentleman who was a palm reader and teacher. And basically over lunch he sold me on taking his palmistry class.
Okay.
So I start, like, what happened was, it's like, you just need to put me in, the arena, and I'm start that I love to learn. I'm always interested in taking a class, reading a book, and this is like the best place for me to do it, because I'm learning about chakras, I'm learning about crystals. Went for my Reiki certification. Like, I'm just always kind of like, what next, what next, what next. So this is kind of, I don't know if I even answered your question. You were asking me how this all started. Started with my grandmother, and then
Mhm.
it continued with my curiosity. And basically, I felt like I needed more than just my divination knowledge. At around
Mhm.
in around 2018, I went back and I began a program, like a certification program for coaching. And what I did is I began to combine my coaching skills with my divination skills and
Mhm.
my intuition.
Mhm.
And that has become, how my work has come to be in the world. And I've begun teaching, and then I wrote my book. And so all of these different things have kind of come from just my interest in shining this light, sharing this knowledge, and allowing women to see that there are different ways that you can move through the world and be successful.
Mhm. I love it. I was fantastic. I was like enamored. I was like, oh wait, I have to ask a question after this. I was like, I have to ask a question.
Ask away.
So, and I thank you so much for sharing that with me because I think a beautiful thing I took away from that was you said you were leading with curiosity, where it's like, okay, I did this, I was here for a little bit, and then I saw a sign for this, and I was like, let me try that. Oh, then I sat next to this person, we started chatting, and I led with curiosity. And I think that's such a beautiful way to lead life, especially with, developing a growth mindset is leading with curiosity, being a lifelong learner. Because what I think gets a lot of people stuck or get in our own way is we don't lead with curiosity. We lead with scarcity, or we lead with judgment. We lead with anxiety. We lead with fear.
Fear. Yeah.
See, you got it. And so it's like we catastrophize everything where everything's black and white or worst case scenario. And it's like, what if you just took a baby step that way? What if you took a baby step that way? What would happen? And I
Right.
always envision it of kind of like leveling up in a video game. Hey, you decide to go left. Okay, let's go left. Here's the level that you're at. Oh, you decide to go right. Here's the other level that you're at. And just figuring it out along the way, where I think we were taught to be like, you need to have a 5-year plan to be successful. You need to know exactly what you're doing 100% of the time. And if you try something and you're successful at it, you have to stay with it for like the rest of your life and you can't try anything new or maybe go to a new career path, a new interest, and you stay in the same box basically until you retire because that's kind of the story that we were taught. But the beauty is that we live in it's the big 2-6. So we're living in 2026 and we have the internet at our fingertips the way it's never been at our fingertips before. And it creates so much more opportunity for our adult life to look very different than our parents or our grandparents'
Yes.
adult life. And so kind of shedding the old patterns of, hey, I'm going to choose a life path, choose a career, and I'm going to stay there until retirement. And I literally can't do anything else, even if it makes me miserable. Right. And so I think it's a beautiful time to start thinking about, hey, I'm at this point in my life where, everything has been working out. It's been okay. I've done everything I was supposed to do, but there's still kind of like this aching feeling that, something that kept coming up for me was I'm made for more. I'm made for more, kept being like the voice that kept creeping up on me. And I think
Hmm.
that's what a lot of women or people just in general right now are feeling that they are made for more. And so if they're thinking, I would love to see what this made for more thought can, come into fruition in my life, but I'm so scared to take that step because of judgment, fear, anxiety, you name it.
All the
How
things.
all the things, how could we start taking then those baby steps of curiosity to try looking in other places if other places we want to go to?
Well, I think that all of this is very true. And I do think that it is more acceptable to change jobs and to even
Mhm.
change careers,
Mhm.
um, which is a little bit different than the way it was years ago.
Mhm.
However, what I really feel is a huge barrier to people changing is that a lot of, and I'm not going to say that I'm any different, but
Mhm.
I've become more comfortable with this.
Mhm.
People do not like to be uncomfortable.
No. Mm-mm.
And change, like I have this saying, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Mhm.
So you have to change. So the thing is, if you are not happy with the way your life is now, you can't keep doing the same thing. Like what got you here won't get you there, wherever there is. Like if you're at
Mhm.
point A, like if you want to stay at point A, then keep doing what you're doing. But if there is
Mhm.
a new point B that you have created in your mind,
Mhm.
then you're going to need to change what you've done and take a different route to get to that place. And what's going to be required of you is that you're going to need to get uncomfortable. You're
Mhm.
going to need to stretch out of your comfort zone, and you're going to need to start saying yes to the things that maybe you're uncomfortable with, that you don't know about yet. And if you can bring this mindset of curiosity
Mhm.
and learning and like a growth mindset and saying, you know what? Instead of being afraid of what I don't know,
Mhm.
how about being open to what you could know?
Mhm.
And to just to expect, because I feel as though the world responds to how you show up. So if you show up and you're rigid and you're inflexible and you're looking like, you're white as a ghost and full of
Mhm.
fear, then people are going to be not so welcoming and warm because people want to go in the direction where, they're with people that are in the mindset that they want to be in.
Mhm.
So if you can somehow find a way, and this is part of the work that I do, I help you realize who you are. Like maybe
Mhm.
inside that shy little girl that I was this very chatty, talkative woman who was just waiting to be let out of, whatever, confined space that she was in. And I feel as if you allow yourself to be open, that
Mhm.
could be you, then that is how change happens. So
Mhm.
it's all in your hands, and you do not need the approval of your peers or your therapist or your barista at Starbucks. Like, I
Mhm.
feel as though everybody is so worried what everyone else thinks. But truly, the only person that matters is that person that you're looking at when you brush your teeth.
Mhm.
You.
100%. And I think it's so crucial to make a new life path if that's where we want to go, is like you said, showing up, because I always thought, the world, the universe is like the mirror, right? So it's going to reflect exactly what you're going to bring to the table, the energy that you're bringing, the frequency that you're bringing to the table. And like a match is like, that could be people, that could be opportunities, situations, environments, like connects to like. So like you said, if you're coming up and you're rigid and you're scared, your brain is only going to see situations, environments, people as scary or strict or uninviting because that's all you want to notice. But like you said, if you're open to, okay, I'm open to new opportunities, that means you're looking up, you're looking around, you're being aware of it. And, when your head is down and you're not looking for those certain things, or we're on our phones and things like that, we're missing different opportunities or little sprinkles of winks and whispers being like, hey, try this, because we're so consumed in like the own little box that society, has created for us. And I love that you were sharing out, talking about like, what is your sign? Like, I'm a Gemini. What does that mean for me? How can that help me on my life path? Oh, numerology. I keep seeing 111 and 333. Is there something that I'm supposed to be noticing right now? Or maybe that's just like a little wink that I'm on the right path, right? Doing tarot cards, can that share something with clarity? Because I think that sometimes people go, okay, I need to find clarity. That sounds great. I see clarity all around the self-development space, social media. Then
Yeah.
people go, well, how on earth, how on earth do I find this magic word of clarity? And that's doing work, your inner work for yourself, whatever that means for you. So if people want to kind of explore the space of, numerology, tarot, even in your signs and things like that, some of the first steps, like how much of their, life path would you say should they pay attention to in that space? Meaning, like, for example, I'm a Gemini, and I remember reading in like Tiger Beat way back in the day, being like the daily horoscopes. Oh, you're a Gemini. This is what's going to happen to you today. Versus, okay, I know I'm a Gemini rising and a Gemini sun and a Cancer moon. How does that affect my life and how I navigate and see or perceive my life, perceive my relationships? Do you know what I mean? Like, people get like they step away from that space sometimes because like, well, how much do I really need to pay attention to? How much of it is quote unquote a scam? Should I even look into that part of life in the self-development space? There's kind of a lot of um clashes. Like sometimes I speak to people, they're like, yes, I love that space. I love talking about it, I love sharing about it. And then there's other spaces where they're like, no, we don't do that, whatever that. Do you ever does that ever come up for you when you're sharing information? Is there ever pushback? And if there ever is pushback, how do you open up the conversation to someone who's in that space?
Okay, oh my God, they have so many things I want to tell you right now. Well,
Okay.
first of all, about pushback. So for what that made me think of was what keeps women stuck. So
Hmm.
before we go to the astrology, I just want to say this one thing is
Hmm.
that many women believe they need to feel certain before they
Hmm.
take action.
Right.
And they're waiting until they feel absolutely sure, like
Hmm.
100, 1000% sure.
Hmm.
Want to be ready. They want to be confident. But in reality, confidence comes from taking action, and
Hmm.
self-trust grows at the same time.
Hmm.
So most growth happens when we move forward,
Right.
and even if we're still a little bit unsure.
Hmm.
So just wanted to put that in there. Now, when you asked me about, like looking up your astrology in Tiger Beat magazine, it is
Hmm.
really hard to cut the entire population of the world into
Hmm.
12 little neat piles and be like, okay,
Hmm.
here are all the Geminis and here's what you're going to expect this month kind of thing. Because in our chart, so when you say you're a Gemini, and I know that you said that you're also a Gemini rising, but when you say you're a Gemini, that means you're a Gemini sun.
Hmm.
So everybody has a sun sign, and usually that's the sign that they, identify with when you say, what's your sign? That's your sun
Hmm.
sign. And your sun to me is the face you show the world,
Hmm.
your public face. Now, you also mentioned your rising sign. You're also a Gemini rising.
Hmm.
Your rising sign, I look at as your personality, how
Hmm.
people experience you, like when you're
Right.
engaging with them in conversation. So you're probably very chatty and you're very
Hmm.
friendly and you're very bubbly and you're like a little social butterfly. That's very Gemini. And then you said that you are a Cancer moon. Now
Yes.
your moon is interesting because your moon is your private self. The
Hmm.
people that see you in the public see you butterflying all around, see you
Hmm.
being really chatty and friendly, but it's funny because you mentioned that your husband
Yeah,
is a
he's
Cancer,
Cancer.
and I feel like that's a really great connection because privately, like when you're home and maybe like the closest people around you,
Yes.
you're a very emotional person.
Hmm.
And I feel as though you feel very deeply, sometimes so deeply that you have to like put up a little Gemini
Nope.
barrier. Like kind of be like,
Yep.
gates closed,
Yep.
we're closing the,
Later.
business
Hmm.
is closed today kind of thing.
Yes.
So because you feel so much and you can get very stuck on things and, cancers. So these are all, so when you look at your astrology, just looking at your sun sign is interesting because that's the face you show the world, but
Mhm.
you have 10, like I'm not, so I would want to look at your, not only your sun, I would want to look at your rising, I'd want to look at your moon, and
Mhm.
your Mercury is how you communicate, your Venus is how you love, your Mars is how you fight. It's like all these things, like, so there are a lot of different pieces of your chart. And then when you look at the actual natal chart,
Mm.
I want to see, well, what houses? The houses, like a natal chart looks like a big piece of pizza, like
Yep.
a big pizza pie.
Yes.
And there's 12
So
slices.
many things are going on in that chart.
Right. A lot of things are happening. And the question is like, do you have a cluster of planets in one house? Meaning you got a lot going on in work, or you have a lot going on with your childhood, or you have a lot going on with your career. So
Mhm.
it depends where these planets are, what
Right.
signs they are in, and then also how they are playing off of each other. So,
Hmm.
for example, if you are in like a trine or like a conjunction, then that may be a positive influence. But if you are in a square, So like if your sun
Hmm.
squared your moon, and there could be a whole lot of other things that are going on with you. So it's really like, so to get back to your original question,
Hmm.
is that Tiger Beat magazine, is it accurate? I mean, to a certain degree, maybe, I'm not saying that the people that are writing it, like they're taking what's happening in
Hmm.
the sky into consideration. But if
Right.
you want to know specifically what is happening with you in your life,
Hmm.
reading a magazine astrological, like, 4 or 5 sentence
Yeah.
write-up
Hmm.
is probably not the most accurate place to go.
Hmm.
And so that's just astrology. You were talking about numerology. And so in numerology, how numerology works is that there are numbers, like we use the foundational numbers, which are the numbers 1 through 9. And then I
Hmm.
also look at the double one, double two, double three, which is 11, 22, and 33. And each of these numbers has a vibration that
Hmm.
it operates at. And just kind of like how a Cancer and a Gemini are very different. A number one and a number two are very different.
Hmm.
And based on our birth date, we have a life path number that
Hmm.
is assigned to us. It's a simple math equation. We add all the numbers of our month, our date, our month, our day, our year together, and we
Hmm.
want to basically boil it down to either a single digit, or if your number is an 11, 22, or 33, you stop there,
Right.
kind of thing. And once again, each of the numbers has an energy
Hmm.
about it. So when I do a reading with someone, or when someone wants to work with me, the first thing I want to know is, what energy
Hmm.
are we working with? What energy are you bringing to this party that we call life?
Hmm.
Because if you're showing up with a very adventuresome and say yes to everything type energy,
Hmm.
you're going to have a very different experience in this world than if you are someone that is very introverted and very closed and kind of like a loner and likes to be
Hmm.
alone a lot. So even if you're both Geminis kind of thing, so it's like it's really hard to lump everything together in
Hmm.
just one write up. There's a lot of different things,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of different ways to come about it. And it's funny because what I do is, because after I started working with, tarot, numerology, astrology, all the things, I
Hmm.
started using them together because
Hmm.
what I'm looking for is a pattern. I'm
Hmm.
looking for repetition.
Hmm.
So if this is saying, you know what? This is a very busy year for you. Oh, that's interesting. That's happening in your numerology. Oh, and your astrology is saying this is a
Hmm.
very busy year for you. Oh, that's interesting. And now we're gonna, like, so I feel like what happens is I start looking for it, and then when you start hearing something once, twice, 3 times, you're like, okay, that's my confirmation. This is the
Hmm.
direction that you're going with this year. So
Hmm.
what I do also is I work with a bunch of new modalities, and
Right.
what I do is I look for information that is consistent and reliable. And
Hmm.
then that's where we go. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes.
I don't even know that I remember your question.
I don't even, I'm like, I think you explained it very well though, of how to use like astrology and numerology as a tool of navigating your life. Because I think that's why people get closed off for it, because they think, oh, they think it's the tiger beat. Oh, you're a Capricorn, this was happening today. And they're like, oh, LOL. They make it as a joke, where it's literally such a beautiful tool that we can use, that have been used for like forever. I mean, ancient civilizations, listen, I'm a history teacher as well. So like ancient civilizations have been using this for so
Yes.
long to help with life paths as well. And I think it's a beautiful space to help with navigation, to find clarity. And it's also a little bit of fun too, because when I was like curious in my own life too, I was like, okay, what's my sun, rising, moon? I was like, oh, that's fun. And you read a little bit about it, you go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that is how I am. That's how I respond to people. Oh, yes, that makes, and that finds clarity within yourself without labeling. Because I think sometimes people go, oh, well, you're such a Cancer, blah, 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 you're such a Capricorn. Then people tend to then box themselves in, where if you use astrology, numerology, and like you said, like as a whole abundant space of a tool to navigate life, there is so much useful information. Like, and seeing your chart, like I've had it I've made my chart before and I don't know anything about it, but like looking at all, like you said, it looks like a big pizza pie. There's so much going on. There's so much information that you could possibly learn from and in this space. And when you were talking about life paths as well, I think a while ago I found out that I'm like a life path 3 is what mine is. And so, and just reading that, and again, it's all data, it's all information. Be like, that's really cool to know. So that way, if maybe in life I'm feeling lost or stuck, I can kind of use this space also as a tool because that can help you. Okay, this is who I am. This is where I've been. This is possibly could be where I can go. And using these tools to help find that clarity that so many people are having trouble with. And it also helps you get to know yourself. Like you said,
Yes.
aspects of your work, in your relationships simply with yourself. How do you navigate problems? How do you navigate love? How do you communicate? How do you fight? Like it's such a beautiful painted picture. So that way when people go, oh man, I gotta find clarity, but like I don't even know where to start. This
Right.
could be a beautiful space where to start. And also when you're in circles of people who also are curious in this realm and look up those things too, it's so fun to have those conversations because you can build such great connections. I'm telling on my bachelorette trip, we were sitting around for dinner and we just all started like talking about it. And they would say, what their big 3 were. And we're like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because you do this and you do that. Ha ha. Like I was laughing because I surround myself with a lot of Earth people. I got a lot of Virgos and Tauruses in my friend group, and I'm an air. So they
That's interesting.
it's fun and
They
it's fun to
ground
talk about
you.
that stuff. Yes, they do. Yeah, they always say that in the friend group I'm like the fun aunt, and then I have the mom friends who are like the Taurus and the Virgos and everything. But that's because that's how we balance each other out. But it's really cool to have those conversations and for other people in my space to also know those things about themselves. Because not only do you figure out things about yourself, but that builds the fun connection. You have those conversations with your friends. And then we even make jokes when we like let's say we did get into a conflict. Sometimes we can even get our way out of it because we're like, wait, hold on, we know how we are. Wait, wait, wait. And it's a nicer way to also navigate disagreements or conflicts because everyone kind of knows how each other works. So not only is it a beautiful tool to help you within yourself, but also how to navigate, relationships, whether it could be with your friends, with your significant other, with your family, and then, and then in your workplace, if like they're open to and they talk about it and stuff like that, it's a beautiful tool for so many aspects of your life and how to navigate the life that we live.
It is so true. I'll tell you a little.
Mhm.
So my daughter,
Mhm.
my firstborn, when she was born, I looked up her astrology,
Mhm.
and my daughter is a triple Aries,
Oh
meaning that
my.
her sun, moon, and
Uh-huh.
rising are
Hmm.
all Aries. And anyway,
That's
so
fun.
and all of my friends, from my world of tarot and astrology and everything, they're like, so what are, they asked for her birth details, and then people were like texting me and emailing me. They're like, oh my God, she's a
Hmm.
triple Aries. And
Hmm.
I mean, and I remember telling my husband, and my husband's like, yeah, I don't believe in that stuff, whatever. And I'm like,
Yep,
this
yep.
kid is gonna have like fire plugs coming out of her butt.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, get out of the way. She will just run
Hmm.
you down. And it's funny, as she grew up, my husband was like, so what were they saying about,
Yeah,
so
hold
as
on a minute.
and it's funny when she gets going, everybody's like, "How do you manage her?" I'm like, "Manage her? I get out of the way." I'm like, "Are you
Right.
kidding?" I was like,
Hmm.
"I don't want to get run down by this kid." She is definitely and but she knows what she wants. She's a great decision maker. I mean, she
Hmm.
is her chart. It's crazy. I'm like, if you don't believe in astrology, and I understand some people are skeptical, and
Hmm.
I listen, if you are skeptical, I'm not telling you to not be skeptical.
Right.
I
Hmm.
if you do not believe in this mysticism or in divination, I think that you can just maybe benefit from self-reflection. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, my big thing, I encourage people, as we were saying before, to stay curious. And
Hmm.
all that I'm looking for to do, sometimes when people like dig in and they're so inflexible, all I want to do is invite them to
Hmm.
find a different way. I'm like, okay, it sounds like you're dead set on this being the answer, but what if there were another answer? I'm not saying that there is, but what if you would just consider the opportunity? Like, so it's kind of like if you're at the house, you want
Hmm.
to go in the front door, but
Hmm.
there's also a side door and there's also a back door. So what if you didn't enter through the front door? You
Hmm.
tried a different way in, and you had like, because if you enter through the back door of the house, you're not seeing everything in the way that you were. And so what if you just saw it in a little bit of a different way and you just got curious about it?
Hmm.
I'm not telling you to change your mind. I'm just inviting you to think in a little bit of a different way.
Hmm. And I
And I
think
feel
it,
as if,
yeah.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
say this is how we can meet in the middle.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Meeting in the middle because for me, at first, of course, I was skeptical as well. But again, it was the reframe of it, how I saw it, it was simply just another tool in my toolbox to figure out life, to figure out myself. It's simply just another tool in my toolbox. And if you try it and you're like, yeah, maybe it's not for me, I don't really see, you don't feel connected to it, fine. That's totally fine. Like any other tool in the toolbox that you have. If it works for a little bit and then after a while you go, you know what, I don't really like it anymore. It's not like you have to stay in that space forever or use this tool forever or be so involved with it forever. That's kind of the beauty of the human experience. I remember I was speaking to another guest and they were saying how life is an experiment. That's what it is. We use it as like a task, like check, 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 like a checklist, if you will, with all the tasks that you have to get done. But what if we looked at instead of that, I looked at it as more of an experiment, and that's where because you keep saying curiosity to me, and I go,
Yes.
yes, let's see what works. Let's experiment. Let's see. We go down this path. Hey, we like it for a little bit. We don't have to like it forever. I think as humans, we love structure. Structure is also a very important space, and certainty does have a space as well. But it's the duality of both. It's that
I think that's
duality
so
of both.
true. I mean,
Hmm.
listen, I do love it when, I mean, I feel like if I'm going to like a work related event, like
Hmm.
I'm like, do you have the agenda? Like I would like
I
I
looked
like
up
the
where the parking
schedule.
is before I park there.
Yeah, like I do enjoy knowing, but
Hmm.
sometimes there is some freedom, and I
Hmm.
love freedom. There's a freedom in not knowing. There's a
Yeah.
freedom in saying, you know what, I'm going to create the day that I want. Like that's kind of like the
How fun is that? How fun.
why I love travel so much, because sometimes like when you go to a new country and you're like, you know what? I just want
Hmm.
to explore the city. I just want to try their different food. I just want to do different things and not have any agenda, because that's where we find like the little golden nuggets and the little secret gem of places that are, off the beaten path. And so sometimes leaving that beaten path is
Hmm.
the best thing.
Hmm. And I think that's a beautiful space of we love the agenda, but why not us create the agenda? Do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, for me, I'm a teacher, for 9 months out of the year, and then 3 months I'm in that space right now where it's like I wake up and I go, oh, I get to decide what I'm gonna do today. And how fun is that I get to decide what I'm going to do today? Like you said, the freedom of that and the freedom of setting the intention for the day, whether it's the summer or it's the school year. I still get to wake up every day and create the intention I want to have for that day. And we forget how much power we have in our day. Granted, we can't control everything, but it's really beautiful to see, what can I control? What can I be mindful and intentional with the day. We sometimes throw that out the window because we wake up, the alarm goes off, we check our phone, we check our emails, we get ready, we get in the car, we commute to work, we go to work, we come back, we're tired, we go on our phone some more, we eat some dinner, we go to sleep. It's very much, yeah, it's a lot of us live a very passive life, and I think that's where the misalignment or the unfulfillment is going on, or the feeling disconnected with our own self because we're living such a passive life and not an intentional life, not a clear life, not a mindful life. And when we switch to that other lens of being intentional and mindful, that's where we see those little nuggets when we go on that little, like, let's go explore the city. That's where we find the little golden nuggets for the day. Or that's where we find moments of gratitude, where we find moments of where can I connect with myself? I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I tried that. When you're being intentional and mindful and aware of what you're doing rather than just passively, living in
Mhm.
autopilot. People are burnt
That's the
out and
word.
things like that. It's
Autopilot.
so
That's what I call it.
because
Exactly.
that's what it feels. That's what it feels like. And granted, some days are better than others. Some days, yeah, your girl is an autopilot, and I'm aware I'm an autopilot. But then there's other days where I'm like, no, like I'm gonna make sure that I'm very aware of today and being intentional and mindful. And so, if people are like, well, I do live a very busy life, and I feel like sometimes I do live in autopilot, or I am in that burnout space. How can we use then maybe astrology or numerology as a tool to help us escape that burnout, if you will, to feel more maybe like connected with ourselves or realigned with ourselves?
Well, I love that. And what I want to say is if you do not have knowledge of
Mhm.
astrology or numerology or tarot, because I feel as though some people look at it as this like mountain
Yeah.
and they don't know
Hmm.
where to start. So what
Hmm.
happens is they get into this analysis paralysis. It's like
Yes.
they're like, well, I'm not good at this. And then I'm afraid I don't want to ask questions. I don't want to look stupid, whatever it
Mhm.
is, kind of thing. So, what I like to say is, first of all, what I want you to do is just get quiet with yourself
Mhm.
and start listening. Now, a lot of people have a hard time meditating because I
Mhm.
have it too, monkey mind, but
Yep.
I've tried to tame it a little bit. I do meditate, but I know that for a long time I had like a very love-hate relationship with it. I'm like, oh, I want to do it, but oh, it's so
Mhm.
hard, and but I've begun a practice, and now I am like I do a meditation every morning, but I also what I do is like when I walk my dog,
Mhm.
I purposely don't bring my I bring my phone just in case somebody needs to call me, but I don't bring my AirPods because what I want to do is I just want to be outside with my thoughts. My
Yep.
dog's not talking to me. I'm not talking to anybody else. I'm just having my own, and also like when I go into the shower, sometimes just having the water, like having these moments when you are just connecting with yourself. So what I would first say is try to carve out time that can just be for you. And if you are somebody that journals or you are somebody that that wants to do like they have a million meditations on YouTube. You don't need to sign up for an
Yep.
app. They have
Yep.
a lot of great apps out there if you are interested in that. But like whatever it is that you can do to connect to yourself. And then if you are interested, like what interests you? Does astrology interest you? Does numerology interest you? Pick one thing. Are you interested in tarot? Go to, either go to Amazon or, they have a million other places online where you
Yeah.
can look at tarot decks or literally just go to like sometimes they have the bookstores.
Mhm.
They also have, they have the, metaphysical bookstores. They have a
Yeah.
few in New York City with unbelievable decks that you can just
Mhm.
look through and just find something that speaks to you. It can be an oracle deck. It can be a tarot deck. It can be, it can be runes. It can be crystals. It doesn't have like whatever works for you,
Mhm.
that works. Like I always say the rules are, there are no rules. It's
Mhm.
like whatever you like, that's what worked for you. And then start playing with it. I mean, I wrote a book. So my book is for people that are new to trying to figure out how to connect to their intuition.
Right.
And I mean, my book, it's called The Way Within.
Mhm.
Igniting your intuition using sacred tools. And basically, it's teaching people how to find your intuition
Mhm.
and connect to it. So it's really a book about self-trust, and I use the sacred tools. The three tools that I use in my book are tarot, numerology, and charms.
Mhm.
Charms are very easy to work with, and these tools help readers reconnect with their intuition. That is the goal. It
Mhm.
is not to be a tarot reader. It is not to know a tremendous amount about astrology or numerology. The whole goal is for you to reconnect with your intuition because when you decide, that's all that you need. That you don't need any other confirmation. You don't need any other, backup or, you don't need anyone other's stamp of approval. All you need is your intuition and trusting because when we have intuition, all of a sudden, like when we know something, it's very calm. It's very like
Mhm.
there's just a knowing. And what I'm trying to do is help people, it's mostly women, but help people in general
Mhm.
realize that the wisdom that they're seeking is already here.
Mhm.
You already possess that. And once you start, spending time with yourself and journaling or meditating or walking in nature or whatever it is that you do,
Mhm.
slowly you can introduce other things. But that first connection is you and you.
Mhm. 100%. And you really took the words out of my mouth because I was really going to ask you, like, because I have so many conversations like this, and what always comes up, even for me too, still is what is then the difference between, okay, they call it women's intuition. So it's like, okay, I'm a woman. I'm like, I'm supposed to be intuitive and I'm supposed to listen to myself, but how on earth do I know the difference between an intuitive thought or an anxious thought because sometimes they sound the same because anxiety is like, ooh, look out for danger. Because anxiety, we don't want to villainize anxiety either. Because anxiety, I always think of like Chucky Finster. He's our friend and he's just looking out for us. But then you have intuition. And
Yep.
so if people, we know what it is, but when in the moment we hear a voice in our head and we're like, okay, wait. Is this intuition and I should listen to it? Or is this anxiety? I should say, thank you so much, but you're not needed right now. Thanks for looking out there. Like, how can we know or feel, I maybe could even say the difference between the two?
Okay, I have a couple of ways.
Okay.
And so I do agree that sometimes in the beginning, intuition and fear can both feel very convincing.
Mm-hmm.
And but they do feel different.
Mm-hmm.
So fear is usually loud and urgent, like, oh my God, the house is on
Ew.
fire. We
Mm-hmm.
have to get out. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, and it wants an immediate answer. It tends to spiral into worst case scenarios, and it focuses on all the things that could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, intuition is much quieter. It doesn't usually shout. It's more of a knowing, and it's a feeling that keeps returning. Like you ever like feel like, you left, like you went shopping, you saw something that you really loved at the store, and you're like, it was a little bit more than I wanted to spend.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be fine without it. So you leave it at the store, and then like you go home and you're like, oh, I really wish I had that shirt. And then like you go to sleep and you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh, I really would have loved to have worn that shirt today. And you're like, I think I have
Mm-hmm.
to go back to the store and get that shirt. It's kind of like it just doesn't leave you. It's like
Right.
it's kind of like nagging on the side of you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this truth that doesn't go away, even
Mm-hmm.
when you try to talk yourself out of it. Like you tried to talk yourself out of the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so fear makes us very tense, while
Mm-hmm.
intuition gets us very clear.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might feel nervous when you follow your intuition, but deep down, there's this sense of peace or alignment that comes along with it. So now another thing that I wanted to show you, you said, how does it feel? So your body speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
And often we're so busy looking at what everybody else is thinking, we're not
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to ourselves. But this is where fear and intuition are very much evident in the body. So think about like when you are in anxiety or having like an anxiety attack or panic, your
Mm-hmm.
your breathing is very it's very like chest level,
Yep.
and it's very shallow, and it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like you're panting. It's like when you're watching this scary movie and you're like,
Right.
get out of the house, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, it's kind of like you're scared, and that feeling of like urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you feel calm,
Mm-hmm.
think about the deeper breaths. Like I was listening to your podcast and you were describing your wedding, and you were saying how you've been with your husband for 7 years
Mm-hmm.
and he's your person, and that your hair people and your makeup people were like, are you nervous? Are you
Mm-hmm.
anxious?
I
And you're
love
just like, I'm excited
it.
because you
Mm-hmm.
knew it in your bones. You knew it in your heart. You knew it in your gut. You knew it in all the places in your body.
Mm-hmm.
He is your person.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody said to you, so what did you intuitively know? Like, do you know intuitively that he's the one for you? Like he's your partner. He's your life companion, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And when you think about that, it's a calm knowing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not up here. It's not like you could take a deep breath and be like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's intuition. Whereas the five alarm fire, like
Mm-hmm.
I have had clients that have shared with me that they have walked down the aisle knowing this was not the man for them.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
However, they felt like they were too far along. Like, you know what, we
Right.
already sent the invitations, we already made the
You're
deposit.
walking down the
Already,
aisle.
yeah, we
Yeah,
already, I
we're
already bought the
here.
dress, I paid for the
Mhm.
flowers, like all these things. It's
Yeah.
like I can't turn around now. Whereas, maybe if you talk to your future self in a few years, you would have been like, run the heck out, kind of thing,
Mhm.
turn around and just
Yeah. Turn
go.
around.
But at the
Hmm.
same time, but we are so concerned, like this is what happens. Some women have been so concerned with how other people are going to view
Hmm.
them that they walk down the aisle
Hmm.
with someone who is not their person. Like that
Hmm.
breaks my heart.
Hmm. 100%.
So anyway,
Hmm.
That is how I feel we can tell the difference. We can tell the difference between just is it urgent? Is it calm? And how is your body responding?
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's also a beautiful way to slow your world down and quiet the world is okay, like something's coming up and you get to like, let me pause and then respond, being like, okay, this thought's coming up. Is this, how do I feel? Is it urgent? Am I feeling it in my chest? Am I breathing really heavy? This is probably more of an anxious thought. Or is it like, okay, a thought's coming up and I go, like I'm feeling in my gut, like it's very much like I'm right here, like, but it's a powerful like feeling, if you will. It's calm but powerful at the same time, if that makes sense. Being like, yes, this is what you need to do, or like, no, this is what you not need to do. It's like a yes or no where anxiety is like, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this, it could be that, it could be that,
Right.
like a
It's
pinball
like
machine. Yeah.
everything, you're like a pinball. Exactly.
Yep. And so, having that moment of realizing how to navigate those different feelings because it's all energy at the end of the day. It's a thought, it's an emotion, and it's a behavior. And vice versa, reverse engineering. And once you understand that process, you get to be like, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. I don't need to spiral. I don't need to figure this out right now. I can just hold space and sit with myself and be able to be like, is this anxiety or is this an intuitive thought? What feels good? What feels panicky? And having that inner dialogue with yourself. I think having an inner dialogue, which I developed from doing like a lot of journaling when I first started my own process to getting to know myself, having that inner dialogue is so important because who do you need in that moment? Right? If you're just sitting in
And
your
also,
car, like
yeah.
who do you
And
need?
also, I always say, who knows you better
Hmm.
than you?
Exactly. 1,000%, 1,000%. And so, Dina, I could talk to you for like 5 more hours. Like, because the minute you logged on, I was like, because we were both early. Oh, we
I
could
could have
talk
chatted for like,
forever. We could talk forever. And, I would love to talk forever and I would love to do a part two. And so I want to be mindful of your time though. So, with the Growth Mindset Gang listening and tuning in, where can they find you, follow you, all those wonderful things, get your book, work with you that you mentioned today?
oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, a lot, I'm pretty much Dina Berrin everywhere.
Hmm.
So my website is Dina Berrin. I'm on IG as Dina Berrin. I did self-publish my book. It is, you can find it on my site, but it's also on Amazon.
Hmm.
And you can just put in Dina Berrin and you'll find my book. And I have a YouTube channel
Love
and it's my name as well.
it.
And it is pretty much all the tarot cards. Maybe there's like two or three tarot cards out of the 78 that I haven't done. And I talk about numbers a bit. I talk about tarot. I talk about charms. I talk about all the things, and I make it very bite size
Hmm.
and approachable. So
Love it.
if you want to check that out, come on over. I'd love to have you.
Amazing. Again, Dina, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. It was so great to talk to you.